Welcome to another exciting edition to GroveCityHockey Presents
Hockey in our neck of the woods, and you, sir, were a very talked about person towards the end.
I'm a fifth-year senior, kind of. Well, it's my sixth year of college. Incredible.
Hey guys, we want to say thank you to our sponsor, Cut Shield, for bringing you this episode. Make sure you check them out on the link below and use the promo code for 25% off your order. Used by all 32 NHL teams and players, Cut Shield is the premier protective player clothing designed by players for players. Their innovative cut-resistant clothing has prevented serious injury to numerous players, including over 30 NHL players. Cut Shield gives you the peace of mind to go out and play without worrying about injury. Use our promo code GroveCityHockey, all lowercase and no space, for an additional 25% off your order today. Welcome to GCH Podcast. I'm your host, and with me is a very special guest, is Peter Mazzara. Peter is the owner, founder, and creator of Smack-A-Tac, which has two products, Roller-Tac and Blade-A-Tac, or Blade-Tac. Peter, thanks for joining us on the show. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, buddy.
Hey, no problem. Yeah, normally we have a co-host, but he decided to put himself on an auto call to where he inadvertently gets picked for extra shifts when somebody doesn't want it, unbeknownst to him. And he's like, and I talked to him about it like 2 days ago, and I said, "Hey man, I got Peter coming on Thursday." And he's like, "All right, I'll be there." And then he texts me this morning. He goes, "I really messed up, boss. I got scheduled to work." And I go, "It's not a big deal." So, but yeah. So, how was your evening going? You had a pretty eventful Narch you were out there for 16 days, right?
Yeah. Well, I was out there. Well, and my evening's going great. Thanks for asking. Yeah, Narch was crazy. Narch. I was there. I think it was like 15 days total. The first 3 or 4 days were games start. Well, the first day I think the games started at 8 or 8:30, but after that 6 a.m. till 1 in the morning, whatever it was. And obviously we weren't there from open till close, so to speak, but we're definitely there for 12 plus hours a day. It was crazy. It was a great experience. Very, very thankful to Darren for having us there. I got to meet a bunch of great people I didn't know before, and it was a great experience, playing and being at the booth.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's one of those times where, I have never really had a chance to experience Narch, based on what happened with my playing career and how I, so I was just, I'll just live vicariously through everybody that I meet, on the pod, watching them play. PJ Bielstein, Marty Gwads, Mike Francis. The list goes on as to everybody that I'm able to reconnect with. Peter Dale and his crew and what he's doing. It's impressive to see. And I was watching Narch this year, and your commercial came up. Mm-hmm. And your product is something that I would have probably gravitated towards, which is why I wanted you to come on and talk to us about your product. But before we get to that, let's talk about your start into hockey. What kind of got you into the game of hockey? Not necessarily inline hockey, but just the direction of hockey, because you obviously found your way from ice hockey to roller hockey. But how did you get into the game of hockey?
Honestly, Ben, that's a great question. I don't even know what the genesis of my hockey playing was really. I just remember being a kid and going to play ice hockey all the time. It was just kind of what I did. And obviously through the years, really when I started playing roller hockey, I had a friend in elementary school, and he also played ice hockey, and we'd be bored all summer looking for something to do. And he didn't live too far from me, and we both got rollerblades, and I was young. I was probably, 8, 9, something like that. And literally there was a school, my elementary school was right across the street from my house. So he would skate over, and we would be at that school in the back where, all the kids had recess, where there's a parking lot and everything. And we would play roller hockey from, sunrise till sunset. It literally was use, like when people would spray paint like a pitcher's box for a strike zone. We would use that as our goal. We would shoot that, and that would be our goal. That would be our net, and that's what we did every summer. And then, as I was telling you before, when we spoke, it started getting, more, I guess, organized for me. When I think I was 13 or 14, when I took a bunch of my high school friends who all played ice hockey, and I entered a team into what was the CIHL, or the Chicago Inline Hockey League, that Tom Mauck started back in whatever that was, 1991-ish, something like that. And that's where my start for the love of the game of roller hockey specifically started.
That's awesome. Yeah. And it's one of those things where once you start playing roller hockey and you start playing it a little more consistently, and it just grows on you, and it sticks with you essentially for life, because you can't ever walk away from it.
No, it's difficult. Unlike, and I see it. I have 2 sons. They play ice hockey, and I see it, whether it was me playing or teammates, or even like younger guys who are on my team or my sons. Ice hockey, it's serious, especially at a high level. It's extremely serious, right? You know how it goes, and it's not fun a lot of the times, right? Whereas roller hockey, it's just, I've gotten that comment from a lot of guys who are on some of my teams that are young. They're teenagers, 16, 17, 18 years old, and their comment is always, especially to my sons, you got to start playing more roller. It's just more fun. Right. It just is. I don't know. Well, I think I can tell you some of the contributing factors, right? It's 4-on-4. There's no offsides. There's just a lot more exciting things about it, but for a player at least. But I just, I ended up sticking with roller, and here I am, still involved in roller.
Roller is one of those sports where nobody really takes it too seriously, because the goal at the end of the day is to have fun. You don't really. There's no avenue really to get paid for it to play yet. I know it's probably coming with some restructuring that we might start seeing here in the next several years, especially if it continues to go the way that I think it's going to go. Because you're already starting to see some of the European teams starting to adapt to that system. That's why you're starting to see a lot of American players going overseas playing for in the Spanish league, the Italian leagues, the French leagues, the Czech leagues, and the German league as well. So, it's only a matter of time before some of those guys start coming back to the U.S. And implementing some of those ideas and trying to get that system going on over here in the next 10 to 12 years, I think.
I've kind of seen this cycle of players and people involved in roller kind of getting all excited. I was there in the RHI days when everyone was like, oh my God, this is going to happen. And then we all know the demise of RHI and what happened. And, honestly, what it takes fans. It takes fans to pay money for tickets. It takes fans to buy merchandise, so on and so forth, right? So until there's a group or I hate to call them this, but a promoter that would be out there promoting the sport. And I think it's going to take someone that it's going to be for the love of the sport, not for monetary gain. Because historically, how did the NBA start or the NFL? It wasn't like, oh, we want to make billions of dollars. It was, well, we love the sport. Yes, there's a business interest also, but there's also has to be that the first priority should be for the love of the game and to expand it and how to give back. And unfortunately, my take on this at least is, especially in roller hockey, that there's really not a whole lot of giving back. There really isn't. And I think, I see parents in ice hockey, for example, writing blank checks for whatever for their kids. And here, it's hard to get a grown man to pay for his league fees, right? So,
yes.
So yeah, it's really going to take a little bit more organization and structure. But I do have to say, in the last 6 months or so, I've been privy to a lot of conversations and met with a lot of guys who they're serious about getting something started, and they're in it for the love of the game. That they're in it for. They're not in it for, well, I'm looking at making all this money. They're not in it for that. They're really like, listen, I want to expand the sport. I want it to. I want to set a footprint here that's going to last. To me, that's interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah, and like you said, I think it's only a matter of time before we're able to start seeing the hard work and the effort with, especially, and all it takes is the right group of guys, like you were saying.
True.
And the fans are there. I'm watching on rollerhockey.tv. I'm checking out, the NART streams. I'm checking out the Palma Pro streams. I'm watching the tour streams. So I mean, as long as we have access to be able to see it and the broadcasts are happening, I'm going to continue to do my part and watch, because I am a fan first. Outside of being a former player, I just love watching the game. I love watching how the pro guys develop and change up the game itself. What worked 2 years ago in the finals doesn't work now. What worked last year in the finals doesn't really work now. You're seeing, look at CarShield. They had a chance to go 3 championships in one season. But they lost it, to a very tough black ice team, 1-0. But then in the finals, it was also another 1-0 game. In roller hockey, that's very tough to see. So I mean, the game is evolving into something really special, and now is the time to really start to pay attention to which way is it going to go. Is it going to continue to grow? Because it's starting to, like, the women's game is starting to grow, which is impressive, which is something that we need to see. Is it going to grow as fast as wrestling? I don't think so, but it's starting to make its rebound back. But you have that wherever you go, every year, people come and go, and now you're starting to see people coming back and put some more effort into it. So hopefully we're able to continue to watch more of the growth going. And like you said, it's just going to take a couple of those core guys getting together and trying to make it together. And I'm really curious as to see what happens in the next year, as to the state of inline hockey in the United States.
Yeah, I think a key to growth is the youth, right? It's the youth, and accessibility to the sport is most important. The more accessible it is to kids, the more you're going to see it. So, like soccer, all you need is a field and a ball. That's all you need, right? That's why it's the world's biggest sport. It's really accessible. And it's sad to see, but facilities close all the time, at least in our area.
Right.
And they usually close due to, we're putting the turf down, and now we can rent it to lacrosse and soccer and all these different things. So, we'll
instead of building and adding to the facility. They're like, well, let's just take away from one to give to another, which I feel like should never be the case, because you should be able to try to include all of those fantastic sports. And you're in the Chicago area. You guys only have like one, maybe two rinks, one indoor facility.
We have one rink, Salt Creek Sports Center. Luckily, it's owned by the sports dish by the city, or it's a park district rink. Mm-hmm. So hopefully it's not going anywhere for any amount of time. Hopefully it's going to be there forever. They're actually right across the street. The Bears bought a parcel of land that was an old horse racing, thoroughbred horse racing place, and they were going to put their stadium there, which may have impacted us, but now I guess that's off the table. So they're going back to the city. So we're safe for now,
Yeah. Yeah, that would have been crazy, because I know I remember playing there, when it was Palatine, and then in my area, on the west side of Michigan, there's nothing now. You have one rink in Allendale or Georgetown, which is just outside of where Grand Valley State University is. And they do one 17-week season, and then that's it. And they don't even have a floor. It's on smooth concrete. They just melt one sheet of ice, and then you're good. I mean, the floor, it's a nice facility. It has potential to be a phenomenal facility, but it's never going to be year round. Yeah. And that's one of the things that when I interviewed for a co-hockey directorship over here at one of the local rinks, and one of the questions was, what would you do to grow the organization? And I said I would implement roller hockey. I would try to get roller hockey at that youth level, because now you have the the junior national development program. So you have kids now that can have a chance to play for Team USA, represent Team USA, and go around the world. They can play for a gold medal. They can build up, and maybe hopefully find its way into, where roller can find its way into the Olympics at some point. I know it's not going to be the 2028 Olympics, but who's to say that the 2032 Olympics, it's not there,
Right.
I mean,
right. For sure.
And it all starts, like you said, with the youth coming in and doing what they got to do to grow the sport, so to speak. Right. And with that, growing the sport is your product, with the Smack-A-Tac brand, with your roller tack, which, now tell us a little bit about that, because that's something that I think would have been really helpful when I was playing and I was blowing through wheels left and right. Especially after I lost grip. Yeah.
Well, I guess probably the best way to begin is the thought process that was behind it. Me being a player, right? I go through wheels like crazy because I play sometimes 5-6 games a week, whatever it is. So obviously I go through wheels like crazy. I had bought a set of wheels and they were great. And this is about a year ago, something like that. And I blew through them pretty quickly. Maybe a month and a half later, I got another set and I was sliding everywhere. So I called a friend who I have there and I said, hey, listen, what's going on? I'm sliding everywhere. Well, I'll send you out a new set. Okay, got a new set. Same thing happened. Called him again. I said, listen, it's happening again. I'm sliding everywhere. Okay, I'll send you out a new set. It's a new, the design of the wheel, whatever it was, is a little bit new. Cool. Took those worked a lot better. But during that experience, I was like, there's got to be something that I can do to make this better. My whole life playing roller, I always had some problems or issues equipment wise and wheel wise. I'm a lighter guy, and especially when I was younger, I was really light. and I would always, I would strain the groin area because of my stride, pushing off fast. It would always happen to me. And as every roller player could relate to, dust on the floor. If it's humid outside, you're sliding out, you're not cutting hard, all these different things. Paired with the fact that, as every roller player knows, every guy in a locker room complains about their wheels, right? Every guy is complaining about their wheels. They're slippery. They it's always an excuse about the wheels, and no one wants to go and spend $200 or whatever it is now on a new set of wheels. They just don't, right? So I just kind of thought to myself, well, there's got to be something that I can make that goes onto the wheel that I wasn't even thinking of, like the life of the wheel. I wasn't thinking of that. I was purely thinking of, I want a grip. That's it. That's all I was concerned about. So I actually hired a chemical company to formulate what's now Roller-Tac. We went through 5 iterations of tests and samples, and I basically just gave it to some trusted guys at the rink, by my rink, mostly high-level players, and then some lower-level players, because I wanted to get good feedback from every type of player, And the last iteration, the last sample that we made, everyone was like, "Oh my God, Peter, it works! I can't believe it works." And I said, "Okay, let's not get too crazy. Let's try it different times, different during the day, at night, if it's raining outside. All these things are going to be a factor." Well, make a long story short, everyone gave me just crazy rave reviews. And a lot of guys were like, they were fiending. They were like texting me, "Hey, do you have Roller-Tac? Could you meet me at the rink?" Because I literally, they have to put it on their wheels, because now they're so used to that kind of grip. Right. They don't want to skate without it. It's usually the higher end players, the A players or even B players that are really want to be locked in, right? Yeah. So while this was all happening, I'm like, well, why can't I make something for your blade? I'm a player, I'm a coach, and I'm a dad on ice. Yeah. So when you're in an ice locker room and you're coaching, or you're a dad for a 11, 8, 10, 15-year-old, everyone's taping their stick, and everyone's asking their dad or their coach to tape the stick, or they're doing it last minute. Right. And let's be honest, what does tape really do? Well, I mean, even playing ice when I was young, I played, I played AAA hockey, so I played at a decently high level. I just felt there was never really much to it. And obviously roller players, especially on the higher end, no one uses tape. It's useless, Yeah. So I figured, if I can make a solution that goes onto your stick, that's fast application, cost effective, and it works just as well, if not better, why would you not use it? And we just made it water resistant. So it applies to roller players, but it also applies to ice players. So that was, the thought process. And here we are, 6 months later, after we had those final samples in hand, 6-7 months. And, from pro players to guys on Team USA to your E-leaguers, everyone just loves the product.
Yeah. So now, how many uses are you able to? So, like, if you put Roller-Tac on your wheels, is it good for one game, and then you want to reapply?
Some guys use it for, they're like, well, it's still sticky after a couple games. Here's the problem. Here, if there's one quote unquote downfall to the product, is you have to maintain your wheels, meaning you have to clean them after a skate, because what happens is there's dust on the rink, so it attracts that dust, right? Yep. Because it almost acts like as an adhesive, because it's resin based, so it attracts a lot of dust. But the thing is, while you're skating, the dust embeds into the resin and it still grips the surface really well. So what I personally do, and I'd say 90% of the people that I know use it regularly, they apply before their game, obviously, skate on it, and whether it's after they're done skating, when they get home, or before they skate the next game or the next practice or whatever they're doing, they clean it with our cleaning solution, and then they reapply. And like the cleaning solution that we have, you don't have to use it, but it does have a cutting agent in there that cuts our product. So it gives you a new surface to adhere to.
Okay.
So it's most effective. So I would suggest it, but it's not like 100% needed.
Yeah, so that way you're wiping off everything, getting right down to the bare bones, and then you're reapplying. You're wiping out all of the dust that was really on there with before, and then essentially starting fresh with a fresh coat of fresh paint of coat, as Conway would like to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of his name. It's just, what is his name? Because he's with Bruce Pritchard when they do a wrestling podcast, and he's Ric Flair's son-in-law. And and it's funny because like he just goes, because Bruce will come up with all these different catchphrases, and that's always what it's one of them is what they would come up with is a fresh painted coat, and I think I find it pretty funny. But yeah, so essentially it's you're wiping everything out. You're able to put it on, and then now the same thing is with the blade tack. Is that the same principle too? Is because to me tape was weight, and I did not want to add weight to my blade. I don't mind that the handle, the back end of it, by the butt end. I didn't mind it too much there. But on the blade, I would always try to find, like some rubber, adhesive to put on top of that, and then, to get my grip that way, because I felt that was more secure than tape. Especially with the roller hockey puck versus the ice hockey puck.
So for blade attack, same principle. I will admit that even when I play and there's blade attack on my stick, I do go maybe a game or so after the first game that I play, and I keep it on and I don't reapply. Well, I actually end up reapplying over what's on there already. And there will be dust on there. Undoubtedly there's going to be dust, but I go right over it sometimes, and it works great. What I like about blade attack, and what the feedback that I've gotten about blade attack is it's completely customizable. And what I mean by that is, do you like a lot of grip on your stick or no? If you don't, one layer is all you need. If, like me, I apply one layer and then I go 3 on my toe, for example, because I like it grippier towards the toe of my stick. So it's really customizable. Put on, the grippier it's going to be.
Yeah, and you can really formulate different types of grip patterns too. You can do a crisscross pattern. You can do a straight up and down pattern. You can go, okay, I'm going to do this section here at the toe. I'm going to leave a little bit light on in my middle section, and I'm going to go heavy on my heel, or vice versa. It just depends on how you want to play or set it up, and you can play with it and get the grip that you want.
You can, and you're not going to notice like a crazy difference between 1 and 2 coats. It's not like, you're like, oh my God, it's too grippy. You're not going to have that. But what I've really learned from the feedback that we're getting is from a shot perspective. When someone takes a shot, especially if it's like a snapshot, for example, it comes off of the stick more accurately, because what happens is the blade attack grips the puck, so it doesn't slide, right? Because a lot of roller players just play bare. There's nothing, no tape, no nothing. So that finish on the blade, it's a little slippery, right? So all it does is when blade attack is applied, it just holds the puck from the release point off your blade more, right? So it's more accurate.
Yep.
And I will tell you this too, because you hit a little bit on tape being used like on your top hand. we're getting guys who use blade attack on the shaft of their stick as well.
Okay.
To each his own. You definitely can use it as that, but I will tell you, it's really grippy, especially when it's on the hand. It's very grippy. But guys do it.
Yeah, and that's one of those things where and your blade and your shaft is already pretty tacky. And now you're adding a little bit more. And I'm not saying this in a negative way. You're already adding a little bit of pine tar to the bat, anyways. To make it even more sticky. So it could eat up your gloves. So you just got to be careful with that.
Correct. That's correct.
I mean, they're the ones applying it. They know the risk and everything like that. So, but yeah, that's actually pretty cool. How is it? Is the product applied to the wheels? Is it like a roll-on, or is it like a spray and rag setup, or?
So it comes in a 4-ounce bottle, and it basically it's what's called a dauber. It's a wool ball that goes into the bottle that's attached to the cap. And it's very it's the consistency of it is like water. So you on the dauber, and you just start from the middle of your wheel and you work your way to the sides while you're spinning it, and it applies. And same goes for roller attack. If you want your wheels really, really grippy, you apply one coat, you let it dry, and then you apply a second coat. So that'll make it like super grippy. So again, personal preference. And you get out of a bottle, you'll get like 40-ish applications. So it lasts for a while. It'll last you a long time.
Yeah, it's enough to give you, to at least for a MIHA season, it should give you, plus your rec leagues, it should get you 6 months at least. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. So, and then is there any other products that you are developing, or are you just going to stick with these two right now? I don't want to put you on the spot here with
no.
You're developing something that you're not ready to divulge yet.
Yeah, no. In the hockey space, for right now, that's what we're focusing on is roller attack, blade attack, and our cleaning solution. And our intent is to make those products an everyday use for a hockey player. I'll give an example. When you're playing ice hockey, you sharpen your skates. Sometimes almost every time you skate, right? This is just a way to sharpen your roller skates, your roller blades, right? It's a way to sharpen them. And I think that especially in roller hockey, maintenance of wheels and skates is a lot less than it is in ice hockey. You'll get ice hockey players that carry multiple sets of steel on them in case something happens during a game or something like that. If someone breaks a wheel during a roller game, like 9 times out of 10, they're like, can't play, right? Because no one has all the equipment on hand, and they kind of don't take the maintenance of their skates seriously. I think it's very important, and I'm a really particular kind of person when it comes to that. But I'm really diligent about cleaning my skates, cleaning my wheels. It not only makes them last longer, it makes you perform better. And if you pay more attention to it, it gives you the edge, right? So, I mean, that's my take on it. Anything to give you an edge, I think is good for a player. And it builds a confidence too, because your performance is heightened, So I guess to answer your question, that's all we're working on in the hockey space. I can tell you, as an aside, we have similar products for golf and pickleball.
Okay.
Yeah.
Get a little pickleball juice on your blade of your paddle. That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's going to be interesting too. But in the hockey space, that's our focus, and because the combined network that I and a couple other people have that I know in the roller space, it's really good for me to focus on this, because the time it's taking to get to market and get in people's hands is really short. It's a short amount of time. So my vision is to have every player around the world using RollerTech every time they skate. I think it's it'll heighten the game. It'll take out a problem that everybody has, and that's slipping. And it'll just heighten and maximize players' performance.
Now, is this product something that you've had? So have some when you guys are testing this, are they testing it out on brand new wheels, or is it more of a hey, I've been skating on these wheels for 5 or 6 games, and now I'm starting to lose my edge, so to speak?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this. I like to test things out before. I mean, definitely before I put a product together, right? But I will give you an example. We were strictly using them on used wheels, right?
Okay.
That was my initial thought process. However, I then had another testing session with me and some players on new wheels, and this was a group of people who already played with RollerTech and skated with RollerTech for several sessions. Okay. Then we gave them new wheels and said, okay, skate on these and tell us what you think. They immediately, me included, noticed there was no RollerTech on the wheels.
Okay.
So even when they're brand new, you're gonna feel a difference. We all know how it feels to put on a fresh set of tires, right, before a tournament or something like that. And it's a great feeling because you're locked in, right? But I will tell you, after you have RollerTech on, even with new wheels, you notice a difference. It's a very distinct difference. And that's not, I'm not here to knock anything. It's just a fact. And right. To me, if you're producing steel for Bauer skates, the guy who makes the Spark, sharpener, he's not competing necessarily with the people who are making the steel, right? He's just saying, you're wearing through your steel. This helps you. This enhances your performance, and that's how I want everyone to look at this. Although I will tell you, most of our players are like, oh, I never have to buy wheels again, and I'm like, well, that's that's a space I don't want to get into. But if you choose to never buy wheels again, prerogative.
Right. Wow. Well, I think that's going to do it for this episode. But before we go, where can we find your product? Where can we get your product? And how much is your product worth? Or,
sure.
Cost on the market?
Sure. So you could get us on our website at Smack-A-Tac, Smack-A-Tac.com. You can Google it. It comes right up. And you can purchase all of our products there. RollerTech and Blade-A-Tac are $35 a bottle, and the cleaning solution is $10 a bottle. Or you could buy a bundle for $70 a bottle, or $70 a set. I'm sorry. You could find us on Instagram at Smack-A-Tac. It also comes right up. It's Smack_A_Tac. And we will be, we do have a bunch of roller players that are in the works of being sponsored athletes by Smack-A-Tac. And through them, if you reach out to them, you'll be able to get discount codes on a regular basis. And again, from our perspective, we just want to get products into the hands of players using it. I know just recently, Scooby Snacks, who's a team out of Colorado, they're really into our products, and they placed a huge order, and they've become almost a quasi distributor for us. We're getting orders around the whole world, which has been really interesting after Narch, of course. So that's where you can find us. And, if you have any questions, our email, everything is right on there. We're very accessible, and, you can reach us at any time.
Yeah, I know. I can attest that Peter here will get back to you very quickly. In fact, I sent him an email, and he emailed me back within hours and said, "Hey, I'm just finishing up Narch. Let me get back to you," and then gave me his actual direct number, and we've been chit-chatting ever since. And man, I can't thank you enough for being able to hop on as quickly as you were. I wasn't expecting that, but I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting us on here and getting to tell you and all your viewers about our product. I'm looking forward to the next one, so we can kind of shoot the conversation a little bit more and maybe get deeper into thought about the progression of roller and where we think it's going, because we actually do want to be involved in giving back to the community, because it's given me personally so much for years, and the people are working with me. So that's a big goal of ours too.
Yep. Yeah. And that's our motto here at GCH is growing the game. So we're willing to put in our effort and our work, and that's one of the reasons why I came back after being away for 7.5, 8 years. I got to get back to the community that I love, and welcome me back with open arms. It's like I never even missed a beat. So
yeah. So it's good to have you back.
It's great to be back. And next time we get you on, we'll talk a little bit of MLRH and our time playing against each other. I was coaching while you were playing, but we'll definitely jump into that and talk a little bit more about that in the next time we get a chance to talk.
Sounds good. Again, my pleasure, and we'll be talking again very soon.
All right, we'll catch you guys on the flip side.
All right, take it easy.
That's going to do it for this episode of GCH Podcast. I'm your host, Ben W. Stock, alongside Chris Greco. Thanks for tuning in. Please make sure you like and subscribe on all our platforms on YouTube and on Spotify. We'll see you guys on the next episode. Cheers.